My name is Stase Lipsys, and I was born in Lithuania, far, far away. I came to Australia in 1949 on a ship called General Omar Bundy, which was a troop carrier, which was not very exciting, but as a 9-year-old, it was very exciting because it was run by Americans and they gave me biscuits and ice cream, things I hadn't had in Germany. We sailed into Sydney Harbour Bridge, under the bridge, sorry, and everyone was excited and they said, we won't fit under the bridge, don't worry, the bridge will open and let us in. And I distinctly remember a little house on a hill, green grass, red roof. I don't know why, it's still in my mind somewhere coming into Sydney. I turned 10 on the ship coming out. So my whole life has been here in Australia. And of course I came as a post-war migrant brought in by the government. Thank you, Australia. When my parents fled the war in Lithuania because the Germans came, they got pushed back, the Russians came. The Russians got pushed back, the Germans came. And every wave of soldiers, I think the fighting got more heated and I don't know, but my mother said it was dreadful. They didn't know who to trust anymore because we lived in a little country town with a railway station. So the troops came by train and the movement was constant. So they decided to move away, not run away, just move away from the war front. And we ended up in Germany. And thank goodness that the United Nations looked after us and put us up as displaced persons. And I think we lived there over 5 years. But when the war ended, people had to move away because Germany was flooded with people. So we were given a choice. They will take us home or we have to migrate. And there was Canada, Australia, England, and America, and South America. Everyone wanted to go to America, of course, the land of gold. But to go back, my parents said it wasn't worth it because the big powers, the big powers decided that half of Berlin and Germany, plus these little countries like Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, communists can have it. So my parents said it's not worth going home. So they were coming to South America first, but my mother couldn't give a sample of her blood to test diseases. And I thank God for that. Then we came to Australia. And I've been here 62 years and I am so grateful they chose Australia. And I mean it from my heart because this country has given us such a wonderful life. And my parents decided when they came, they're not committing themselves to anything because they're going to go home when the war is over. But Lithuania only became free in 1991. And my father was buried 2 weeks before that happened. So I'm still here, and I think it's wonderful. We've got problems, but I just love Australia. I think I might have spoken 20 words or so, because in the German camp, in the displaced persons camp, they started running schools to teach English, because wherever we migrated, English was spoken, and I got very bad marks for dictation. Very poor marks. But because I came as a school child and from Bathurst we were sent to, I can't even remember the nearest town, to a state school, picked it up very quickly because the children at that particular school, I remember, they welcomed us. They took us in. We'd be brought in by bus from the migrant hostel. And I felt no discrimination, no finger pointing. I got more of that when I came to Geelong, but that was easy. Of course, at home we spoke Lithuanian because my parents came in their mid-30s, 40s. For them it was a very, very different language, very hard to learn. And as usual, people cling together. I know sometimes we used to be criticized, but I often say, if you ended up in, say, Japan, war happened, or China, completely different culture, completely different food, different climatic conditions, and different language. And you heard an Aussie walking down the street, and you'd come straight up and say, "G'day, mate. Nice to see you." That's just normal. Well, when we first came to Geelong, my parents came to Geelong because somebody mentioned in Melbourne, my father worked in the army base at Watsonia Barracks somewhere. And we were in the summers camp. And someone said, you have to go to this place called Geelong. There's harvesters, there's fords, there is a lot of work. That's how we ended up in Geelong. And we started, of course, all the Lithuanians clung together, and we started weekend schools when we built our hall in Duro Street, which was a weekend job with great love by all the people. They homemade bricks, mind you, and they built the hall with that. And of course, the old people, the parents, naturally wanted to keep the language alive. I went a few times. I joined the National Dance Group, and I was in the choir, and I'm still in the choir. But unfortunately, as my children grew up, my two sons, they went to weekend school, and then basketball started the same day, the same time as the weekend school. Well, guess who won out? The basketball won out. Oh, yes, my father had a wonderful voice, and he loved singing, especially after vodka too. My mother had a very sweet voice, and I was blessed with a voice, and I love singing. I go to church, I sit near the choir so I can sing with them, and I sing in the Lithuanian choir, and if I had more time, I'd join another choir. I just love singing. And of course, a lot of the Lithuanian songs that we sing sort of has brought me closer to the country where I was born, because there's such a problem and such a fault with people, that's me, when you don't talk to your parents and don't ask things to find out about your early years, the country where they came from. Oh, there they go talking about those good old days again. They're gone. I can't ask them anymore. And I feel that I've missed out so much of my life by not finding out. And there's no one to ask. And I went back to Lithuania in 94, and there were only two old aunties left. One was 92, one was 85, and they were just so happy to see me, and I didn't think of asking them more questions. I went to visit the graves of the grandparents, etc., and I'm still none the wiser. So if I had a chance to tell all young people, talk to your parents, write things down, because then you're at a dead end. You can't find out anything. So you've really got to ask and find out where you come from. That is so important, because that is your individuality. That is you.